Ladies and gentlemen, good evening and welcome back to our YouTube channel once again. And I want to begin this video by asking you this simple question. What comes to your mind whenever you see this man, Abdi Guliye? What comes to your mind?
20th, to be specific. I was straight from the university at that time. Never heard anything about, well, I heard about IEBC, but I didn't have any interaction with IEBC that time. And didn't know much about elections, apart from having overseen elections at the university, student elections at the university on 2 consecutive years. And perhaps that was the only experience I had on matters elections. And so I was looking forward to what the new job entails.
Let me know in the comment section what comes to your mind whenever you see Professor Abdi Guliye. For me, whenever I see Wafula Chebukati, I don't know, I have a kind of feeling. And also there is this video of Cherera 4, I think when they were walking to address the media in Serena. Whenever I see that clip, I normally bump on it severely. It gives me nightmares. I see trouble, I see problems in the Republic of Kenya whenever I see that image. But what about Abdi Guliye? What comes to your mind? And do you agree with Professor Abdi Guliye that the 2022 general election in the Republic of Kenya was one of the most transparent elections ever to be held in the Republic of Kenya? Do you agree with him?
There will always be people who will say IEBC, I lost my election because IEBC stole my election for somebody else. That will always be there. Because the nature of election is that somebody will win and somebody will lose. And however transparent the process of conducting that election is, the loser will always have to tell an excuse to his electorate.
Okay.
And the IEBC happens to be the perfect excuse or the scapegoat to tell to the electorate that, you see, I didn't lose, but it was stolen from me. So that will always be there. But what we need to do as a country is to make sure that we look at the laws, strengthen them. I think in every election we have lessons to learn. We need to work closely as a commission with the legislative bodies of the country to enact proper laws and to make the process of elections more transparent, like we have done our best in 2022. Let the results be widely available, and whoever wants to make noise and say their votes are stolen, the Kenyans will tell them to shut up eventually.
And why is Abdi Guliye bitter and angry? You can always see that from his tone whenever he's addressing the media. You can feel his speech. You can see his facial expression. Why do you think he's always bitter? Apparently, Abdi Guliye is not happy with the possibility of Raila Odinga and William Ruto having a handshake. He has termed it a mockery of democracy.
Broad daylight pledges of abiding by the results or the outcome of the elections. In KICC, all of them, the candidates, signed commitments to abide by the outcome of the elections and to be peaceful. Okay. Now, what is the point of going into an election, spend billions of money on it? The commission deploys in excess of 400,000 personnel across the country. You spend a lot of time, and thereafter, you don't respect the outcome of that particular process. I mean, it's a mockery of democracy. So I think Kenyans need to decide whether they want to have competitive elections, or instead of having elections, they sit under a tree, whether it is in State House or elsewhere, and agree, the political barons can agree on how to share power.
So in this video, I want us to look at why Wafula Chebukati and Abdi Guliye are not happy with the possibility of Raila Odinga and William Ruto having handshake. Before we do that, in case you are watching this channel for the first time, I want you to take a second or two, click that subscribe button so that next time we produce a video like this, YouTube will automatically notify you. And to the subscribers, I want to continue thanking you guys for your continued support. Because without that support, this channel cannot be where it is. And for this particular video, ladies and gentlemen, I want to make a special request. Just give it thumbs up. And for those who can, drop your comment, and I'm going to try to read most of the comments. Ladies and gentlemen, let us dive in. A lot of things are happening within the political scene. Today, Martha Karua held a meeting with the Mount Kenya leaders, that is Jeremiah Kioni, Nderitu, former Laikipia governor Nderitu, and Peter Munya. Later on, Azimio leaders, that is Kalonzo Musyoka, Raila Odinga, also met with the same group, and Azimio issued another statement. William Ruto is also embarking on, I think, a 4-day tour of the mountain. He's going to camp somewhere in Sagana for the next 4 days, which in my view is also significant. And I've also seen that statement by Azimio La Umoja One Kenya Alliance. So there's a lot of things to discuss. But for now, I want us to look at why Abdi Guliye is not happy with the possibility of a handshake between Raila and Uhuru. The question which you should ask yourself, why is he angry? Why is he bitter? He's supposed to be a commissioner. He should not be commenting on politics. Why is he concerned when these two gentlemen are meeting? As a matter of fact, for those who have been following this channel, when the news emerged, was it on Friday last week, that Raila Odinga and William Ruto had met somewhere in Mombasa, I knew we were going to have political casualties. There were people who are going to be affected by that move. For example, the former Jubilee MPs or the Jubilee MPs who left Jubilee for Kenya Kwanza, they are going to be affected by handshake between Ruto and Raila. The ODM Rebel MPs are going to be affected by that handshake. That's a fact. The other group which is going to be affected are now the IBC commissioners who either were in Cherera 4 or Ruto 3. But it's clear that the Ruto 3 guys are more shaken by the possibility of this handshake. Why do you think they are better? Number one, in my view, is the possibility of the audit which is going to be carried out in IBC. If you look at the demands by Azimio La Umoja One Kenya Alliance, there are 5 demands. One of them is the cost of living. The other demand which they have is the audit of the 2022 presidential election results. And the other one is the restructuring and reconstitution of IEBC Commission and related matters. So which means out of the 5 issues Azimio are raising, they are focusing on 2, which are, there are 2 which are primarily focusing on IBC. That is the audit. You know, I'm told Raila Odinga and Uhuru Kenyatta have realized that the result of the last presidential elections were actually altered. Now, if Chebukati presided over this election and Abdi Guliye presided over this election, and they believe that by William Ruto becoming the president, they were going to be safe. If you are in their shoe, what would you do? You will not be happy, because that audit will dent their image if indeed it proved that there were some monkey businesses. And for me, that is the biggest worry. Their credibility as commissioners is also going to be put to question. So that is what is worrying these guys. What about the procurement? How were IBC procurements done? Remember, the Cherera 4 group alleged. The Cherera 4 group alleged, for those who followed the presidential petition, that Wafula Chebukati decided to assign them some roles, and Boya Mulu and Abdi Guliye were also assigned some specific roles. Like the procurements were purely done by Guliye. If there were issues about the procurement, if there were questions, and those questions either they'll be legitimate or illegitimate, but assuming they'll be legitimate, it means the credibility of Boya Mulu, the credibility of Wafula Chebukati and Abdi Guliye is going to be questioned. And that is something they would not want to see happening. Number 2 is the shame. You know, I was listening to Boya Mulu, to Abdi Guliye. narrating how he was hurt at the Bomas of Kenya, how his 2 legs, yeah, blood was oozing from the 2 legs.
Okay. If anything,
did you receive threats yourself?
Well, we went into hiding after we announced the elections. You remember what happened at the podium?
Yes.
I was actually injured most during that commotion, which some of them call themselves honorable, but really they include governors, senators, MPs who are subjecting us to that humiliation. At the end of the day, we were held, seats, and some of us, I was bleeding from both legs after that fracas. And so we felt threatened. And so that is why after we announced, when the chairman came, he came alone because I was injured, bleeding from both legs. I think the scars, I can even show you, I have them here, of that election. My colleague, the CEO, Marjan, was hit with a blunt object at the back of his head. And so he had a swollen head at the back. And so we had, because we didn't know from the reactions that happened on the floor of the podium, we didn't know what was in store for us. And so we had to naturally go and we felt threatened, and we had to go and, hide somewhere.
I mean, and I'm wondering, now let's just play this clip of Bomas. This was the Bomas. This is how that thing happened. You see, before Ruto arrived, there were no commotion, serious commotion. It only arrived when, commotion started when I think Wafula Chebukati was coming in, and it was a very short time. And you can't tell me that in such a commotion, only 2 people had their legs. Because he's saying that his legs, 2 of them, were bleeding. Boya Mulu was hit by a blunt object on the head. And that's why they had to hide. Where were they hiding? So basically, the shame that they'll be exposed. Number 3 is rewards or job opportunities.
School, Daddy, when I'm going to the school kiosk, they tell me, pesa ya Ruto imekuja. So that's the level of, my family has been going through. But
when these guys did whatever they did, there were allegations of money exchanging hands. That Wafula Chebukati had actually approached Raila Odinga through Rafael Tuju for a bribe. And because Raila Odinga was so confident and was so sure of the victory, he said, I'm not. We are just going to win this free and fair. And for those who are in the political corridors tells me that that's the moment when they left Tuju's home and they were diverted straight to William Ruto's residence. And that's where all these deals were sealed. Those are the grapevines within, Kenyans iko na maneno. So those are just stories around. Yeah. So one of the things which they were told that they were going to be rewarded. Wafula Chebukati has already been rewarded. The wife is now the chairperson of, I think, which commission, one of the independent commissions, which means she's currently being secured. The reward might not necessarily be about money, but if you are a commissioner, chair of a commission, independent commission, it means you'll be provided with the security, your home, so automatically Wafula Chebukati now enjoys those. Boya Mulu and Abdi Guliye were supposed to be appointed, I think, some ambassadors. So the fear they have is that if these talks were to proceed, they might not get those chances. And lastly, the IEBC restructuring. That restructuring would affect them because, if you presided over IBC and because of your actions and omissions, certain changes are made. It will mean they'll be blamed for life. Like, for example, if the proposals to have commissioners appointed by political parties were to take effect, it means the independence of IBC will be like, where will ODM commissioners swear their allegiance to? Where will Ruto's commissioners swear their allegiance to. It means they shall have eroded the original intention of IBC, which was supposed to be an independent body, free from any political interference. I don't know what you think, but for me, that's my take. May you have a good day. Bye-bye.